Hi, everyone. My name is Artyom, and I'm a procurement and supply chain recruiter. We're about to go live just in a couple of minutes. I thought I would connect and just say hi, and I'll be back very soon so that we can start at 12 sharp. Thank you for joining today, and looking forward to this. Hi, my name is Artyom, and I'm a procurement and supply chain recruiter. Thank you so much for joining this webinar today. It is a great pleasure for me to see so many people who are interested in this topic, and I'm very much looking forward to exploring this topic together with you. So, we have a plan for today, and I'd like to start with that. A bit of a agenda discussion. We are going to look into four main topics and main questions that I prepared. And first one is a quick look at procurement skills and a view which are the skills that are mostly vulnerable in the light of AI technology affecting procurement work and how we do things. So we'll look into 35 skills or segment of those that are nine skills connected to that. Then I would like to talk a little bit more about Claude Cowork and why did I choose this specific tool to show. I have access to Gemini, Copilot, OpenAI models. I run or I used all of them for experimenting with procurement tasks. But Claude Cowork seemed to be the most interesting model at the moment for this specific task, and let me explain why. Then we are going to look together at a live demo. I'm going to take spend data, basically invoicing data, publicly available data set that we are going to give to Claude Cowork and ask it to use specific skill to process it to Excel dashboard that is going to help us to see how to work with this data further. And to wrap it up at the very end, we are going to see and have a look at how this might affect procurement professionals, procurement profession, and the skills there. So this is the agenda for us today. I see that some people are still joining, so I'll just give it maybe a little bit less than just a couple of more seconds to see and give opportunity to those people who would like to join. And we are going to go straight to the first question. All right. Well, let's look into the skills first. And let me explain also how did I come up with this idea. I took a master class with a couple of uh, known authors on the topic of AI, where they explained and presented a couple of specific methodologies one can use to analyze your own job and to understand how AI might affect yourself. Well, first, I've done it for myself. I'm a recruiter. I work with these type of processes for permanent and interim positions here in Stockholm. I've done this for 10 years, so I was very curious. And the result of that analysis was actually very interesting. And the next step was to think about, well, I work with quite a lot of procurement professionals and they must be curious too. So I can do that on their behalf. So I've created this AI framework and uploaded their job descriptions for a procurement manager. And this resulted in the breakdown of these 35 skills. This analysis, you can see the full analysis via this link below and on my webpage at talentsupply.se. And it segments different skills by sort of how high the risk of AI taking over. And what is interesting there that there are 9 skills that are either already today are just about to be completely automated, and therefore it's not that probably interesting to look into those skills and learn those skills. For example, operative manual P2P processing is highlighted like that. But then there are 8 skills that are somewhat they're possible to automate or augment those skills with AI systems, and the process is going to probably accelerate. And therefore, it's very interesting and critical for procurement professionals, I believe, to learn how to augment those skills. At the same time, there's quite a lot of discussions around AI. You hear AI topic from literally every media you open. There's no lack of hype around AI on LinkedIn too. But there was a bit of a lack of maybe a very practical application, some information that can give you an example, can show you how to start working with this in a very practical setting. And that's something, and this is the gap that I try to bridge, and that's the reason for this webinar. So looking at this data a little bit closer, there are 9 skills that are deemed to be potentially highly augmented by AI systems, and data analytics that is closely connected to spend analysis, of course, is also ranking very high. You see the axis that it shows that high AI augmentation potential, and you see low augmentation potential at the very bottom, and to the left, lower human value, and to the right, higher human value. So that's why we are going to look into data analytics and how these tools can support us with these processes. Moving to the next topic, that is about Claude. So why did I choose Claude Cowork, and why it presents what I believe a unique opportunity? And we need to start with a little bit broader discussion about AI. You've probably seen this slide many times, that AI is not a generative AI. It's not the same thing, right? AI, artificial intelligence, is a much broader term, and it includes machine learning, deep learning, and generative AI, which is represented by large language models, the tools that we are very familiar nowadays with, like ChatGPT, Claude, which is Anthropic model, Gemini, Chats, and even Copilot. They are representing just a part of artificial intelligence ecosystem of different tools and methods. And apparently, generative AI has made a breakthrough because it's so good at talking and doing quite a lot of things. But initially, it was not as good in dealing with numbers. There was quite a lot of viral things about asking ChatGPT, could you please count square root from 16? And it was coming up with answers that it could be 7.5 and 8 and giving all different answers. So the numerical computational opportunity or possibility or skills, those skills were not yet there. But this is where Claude Cowork comes to picture. So Claude Cowork is effectively like an agentic orchestration tool that uses access to anthropic models and generative AI tools, but it also can engage machine learning tools. And for example, through using of Python and use specific algorithms there that are particularly strong in data processing. And that combo of large language models for interpretation, guidance, guiding, and developing that, together with access to Python, ability to code, prompt, or write code in Python, and access the algorithms that are good in processing data, this combo presents a unique opportunity. That's why I think we should look into this. So, what happens when we use Claude Cowork and upload sort of a messy CSV spend data? I've taken a publicly available data set that is available for one of the municipalities in Sweden. It represents all invoices that were sent for that municipality during one of the quarters in 2023. So what I suggest for us to look at is to try to upload that file into Claude Cowork and see what happens. So I'll share my screen now. Just give me a moment. Here we go. You should see my screen now. And right in front of you, you see Claude Cowork interface. By the way, if you would like to set up similar type of tool from scratch, I have prepared also a beginner step-by-step guide that is in a very detailed way, shows you how to set up everything, including specific skill for spend analysis. From scratch, you don't need to prepare anything. You just need a license and a computer, obviously, that you can download this. The link for that guide would be visible for you at the very end of the webinar. But let's have a look here. So you have this interface of Claude Cowork that is just ready to support you with some tasks. So I'll take this prepared file of spend data. So you see it shows Leverantörssfakturor, right? And it represents 2023 from January to April, 3 months. Well, I'll just write a quick prompt because Claude Cowork already has a skill that I prepared before. And once again, how to do that is explained in a very detailed way in the guide. But I'll just ask it to look at this file and, well, of course, look at this file and analyze spend data, prepare an Excel dashboard that I'll use while preparing for, I'll just correct the spelling here, negotiations or QBRs with suppliers. Well, I'll just correct. Actually, we don't even need to correct spelling. So I'll just go ahead and let's see what happens. While it works on the file, I would like also to show the detailed view of what it does. So it uses this skill that is essentially like a prompt, a very long, detailed prompt that teaches Claude how to approach certain topics and tasks. For example, the task of spend analysis. So it guides Claude to use a United Nations catalog for categorization. It guides to harmonize supplier data while using Python and external libraries to make sure that the duplicates are highlighted there, and kind of takes all possible options, but you can customize that skill fairly easily and make sure that it is applicable to your specific business, your specific context. If you are dealing with specific challenges when it comes to data, even if you have a well-established tools to uh, see how the spend data is organized and access this data and possibility to interrogate it. Sometimes the companies acquire a new business and that business might be much less mature and you might want to use this. So the applications, of course, there's multiple applications you can use this. So let's follow the progress. So it starts to read the file. So it sees that it is basically municipality invoicing data for that type of period of time. It has identified 24,000 rows. And now it's going to process it, try and using an external tools it can activate to see how can it turn it into more structured Excel file that is easier for us to analyze and actually work further with. So what I think is very valuable here is that it transfers data to Excel and you can then chop it, sort it, and work with it in a way that you'd like to. So this functionality is going to be soon available and sometimes can be already available for Copilot users too, but it depends on the level of license that you have. Recently, there was an announcement that Microsoft has signed or came into agreement with Anthropic to bring Cowork functionality into Copilot. But the rollout of those tools is somewhat uneven, and there's probably no guarantee that your organization has it from get go, so to say. This tool is available for anyone who has a license and its investment of slightly below 300 SEK. And as I'm looking at this from a skill perspective, I think it's quite interesting to start experimenting with this, knowing that this kind of functionality is coming to a large enterprise clients at some point and probably sooner than we think. So you can build your knowledge and capacity and awareness how to work with essentially AI fluency already today. And that's why I thought it would be very interesting to look into this. So it still works with it. So you see that it now running some commands. We can have a look at what it is exactly. It has identified, normalized the supply data, introduce some categories too, and now prepare an Excel file. You can also follow the progress because Claude Cowork create a sort of plan of work here. So the first step was to load and explore data, and then to clean data, normalize suppliers, standardize amounts, dates. In this case, the currency was not an issue, but sometimes you might face that too. You can prompt it or give instructions how to work with those type of situations. Uh, and now it creates an Excel file. Well, it takes a little bit of time, of course, but I it looks like it's much faster than you would probably do it yourself using just the manual processes. And if you know Python, you can of course do it very, very fast. But if I understand correctly, it's not too many people who are doing using Python and data processing libraries and algorithms on a daily basis. Well, here we have a summary of what it has found out and also an Excel file. So I will open an Excel file now, and we just going to need, I'm just going to need to switch the window so you see it too. Just give me a second. Right, and let me just activate that here so that we can have a look at this together. So this is the file that was created by Claude now, and we start with the dashboard. It's just a summary. But I think it's best to start maybe with clean data. So there's a one of the segments here that shows us how it has cleaned this data, how it has harmonized it. It's done supply mapping. You can prompt it to do even more with that, of course. And it has introduced categories. And this is the supply view where you see a total percentage of total spend and cumulative spend. So you can focus on big items if you would like to, number of transactions, average transaction. Then there's a category summary or high level, and this possibility to drill it down, interrogate this data with first category, L1, L2. There's a certain time analysis if it's critical for you to know when the invoice is happening. Segmentation by volume too, and even gives some recommendations of saving opportunities. However, of course, we need to take this with a pinch of salt, right? As we still need quite a lot of talented professionals to interpret this data, and work with this data. So that's something I wanted to share with you and show during this live demo of this tool. And we are therefore moving to the next question, and that was some observations on how this may affect procurement professionals, our profession, and day to day. I would like to show you basically the idea that I was thinking about when I saw this type of demo first time. I thought historically when procurement teams were faced with some opportunity, for example, to implement a new software or to implement certain digitalization initiatives. Quite often, the question between make versus buy was quite the answer was quite obvious. It was always buy. The cost of making things, the cost of development, the complexity of it was something that traditionally stopped anyone from doing this. However, with emergence of these tools and a possibility to do hyper focused, specifically interesting, specifically suitable, customized tools for your specific processes, for your business, for your area of expertise, for your spend segment, it, I think, brings this question of make versus buy, brings this question back, and maybe the answer is not as obvious anymore. So, and this is also connected to this emergent skill that is probably going to play a very important role moving forward, even for procurement professionals, but I think quite across any profession out there. It is ability and knowledge how to build AI systems. And historically, software development, building this type of tools, was a software development task, very deeply technical, requires expertise and many years of experience with this. However, today it seems to be that it has become much easier. So new skill is maybe not necessarily coding, but you can outsource it effectively with the tools that cost just below 300 SEK, but is knowing what to build and also experimenting with this. So doing this, trying this. So that's the answer to the question, how do you build this skill? How do you actually create this? And maybe the starting point is to, once again, start building this, start trying this. You can access, now I just activated the link below, you can access this step-by-step guide, how to set up Claude Cowork on your machine from scratch, how to create this skill. You'll see through that how-to guide that I've taken some assumptions to make it generic, right? So to make it suitable to many cases. But you can make it as specific as possible, as suitable, and as reinforced with context as you want, and very much connected to your business. So I would like to wrap up with just a quick summary. We have just 9 minutes left, and we're probably going to be able to finish even a little bit earlier. I know that there was a Q&A session, and I wanted to mention this in the beginning, but I missed to do that. Sorry for that. I won't be able to answer the questions live during this chat, and thank you so much for writing those questions. But I will be able to come back to the person who's written to later on to follow up on those. So, what are the key takeaways from this session today? And I do honestly hope that it was interesting for you to watch this. So, spend analysis, data crunching is one of the top skills ranked by risk of AI augmentation. Well, what we can do about that, we can just wait for that to be augmented by some, or we can try and test it. Claude Cowork as a tool, as the uh, widely available tool, can be your data crunching intern. It does not do wonders. I mean, it does not do automatically your job, so to say. It won't be able probably to interpret the data in a very right and suitable context. But you can outsource some of these data crunching tasks to this tool and maybe do this data analysis preparation more often. Maybe not only when you update a category on a quarterly basis or annual basis, but before each negotiation, before each interaction with a supplier, you can dive into that data. And if you're a lucky one who has access to perfect spend data in the tools that are available, then I guess it is very irrelevant for you. But what I know, or what I hear at least, that even very mature organizations, when the very advanced tools available, sometimes the final preparations are actually done in Excel. The next one is that the make your own tool type of era is starting, and I think procurement is no exception. So historically, all these type of functionalities where we were relying on big vendors to launch those. But today, with the cost of development of software dropping to zero, and those are the words for, by the way, CEO of Klarna, who was just recently on one of the podcasts talking about that. So we're moving into that area. So maybe everyone will become a sort of developer, but not, of course, in the traditional sense of it. But you can create that tool and certain functionality that can make your work easy, or maybe accomplish certain results that you were not able to do that because you needed to do that. So many of you probably think, oh, if I only had that type of report, I could have achieved that. Maybe that's exactly the time to start. And the last thing is that there's probably going to be an increased demand for skill of building AI systems. And it sounds scary, it sounds big. So who builds those AI systems? There's got to be some technical person, he or she who knows how to code, etc. But it turns out that the systems are becoming easier and easier. And by starting using them, by starting applying these skills, you can do it. Anyone can do it. And of course, with varying quality, and some people who are skilled in this would do it much better. But there's only way to become better is to start experimenting with this and starting doing it as soon as possible. So those skills are not yet not that technical anymore. And that was the last note from my side. I wanted to thank you for your time, for taking this opportunity. This is the first webinar I do on this topic, and I would like maybe to explore more topics later on. I encourage you to have a look at this guide that I prepared, a step-by-step guide how you can apply this and create these tools for your own usage today. And if you are also curious by the topic of procurement skills and how they're affected by AI development, I'm so interested in talking to you. Just drop me a message on LinkedIn, connect with me. I'm really curious to hear your thoughts, and I will be very interested in connecting and discussing this further. So that was the last bit for today. I wanted to again say thank you for your time, for this opportunity. My name is Artyom Kravchenko, and I'm a procurement and supply chain recruiter here in Stockholm. I work daily with candidates and clients in this field. And if you are looking to potentially take a next step, also feel free to reach out to me. Thank you so much for your time, and I wish you a great rest of the day. Bye.